I grew up in a very tiny row house on a cozy little street in Northeast Philadelphia. Our home was a 15-foot airlight, okay? So it's only 15 foot wide, 15-foot airlight. It had 2 bedrooms. It was about 900 square feet total, and that included the basement and the garage. What we lacked in space in our home, we made up for with love and memories. My older sister, Kathy, and I shared a bedroom. It was about 10 by 10, okay? And while we didn't have an abundance of stuff, you can imagine the challenge of 2 preteen and teenage girls in keeping a space that size neat and tidy. It was hard. Our parents were always harping on us to clean our room. Clean your room. Clean your room. It was hard. Well, one time when I was about 11 and my sister was 15, my mom went away on a business trip. And she warned us. That bedroom better be clean when I get home. That bedroom better be clean when I get home. And as typical of girls or anyone that age, and really anyone, really, we procrastinated, right? We procrastinated. And then we got a phone call that Mom was coming home early. Yikes. So we scurried all around. We tried to pick up, but we simply ran out of time. And just before Mom arrived, we had an idea. We posted a sign on our bedroom door. We slammed the door shut, we ran downstairs, waited in the living room for Mom to come home. And when Mom came in the door, she didn't really even talk to us. She just immediately went upstairs to our bedroom, and she was greeted by a sign on the door that said, "This room isn't a mess. It is the home to the National Wildlife Preserve." Well, fortunately, Mom laughed, just like you did. And we got some points for creativity that day. And we were off the hook for our messy room this time, that time. Today we're celebrating the first Sunday of Advent. Advent, that season of waiting and preparation for the arrival of Jesus. Not just that tiny babe in a manger, but for his return at the end of the age. And our prescribed readings, all of them today, provide for us a wake-up call or a reality check. The prophet Isaiah comes along and he asks us to take a look at our living space. Like our mom, Isaiah stands there at the door telling us the company is coming, and would you just take a look at the kind of mess that you have been living in? What would happen, the old prophet shouts, if the one you claim to be waiting for were to show up today? What if the one you want to come home tore open this door right here and came charging in to this room? What then? What would happen? Oh, that you would tear open the heavens and come down, Isaiah cries on our behalf. We know that you are present. Our faith tells us that you are here. but we need to know it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Shake us up, we say, so that we can be certain again. We've begun to wonder, we've begun to doubt. So do it again, Lord, do it again. Advent calls us to pay attention, not just to look back, wishing for what was, but to pay attention to what is and what might be. In the time of this writing in the prophet Isaiah, the people of God were in exile. They were in exile, far from the home that they knew. The foundations of their nation had been shaken. The comforts that they had begun to take for granted were taken away from them. The human institutions that they had constructed no longer held security for them. No longer held that security that they had taken for granted. Does that sound familiar in our day and age, where institutions that we have constructed no longer hold that security for us? And so the people of that time, they began to look elsewhere. They realized that their faith was shaky and they needed this boost. And so they looked back and they looked forward at the same time. The mountains of our society have been shaken, so shake the mountains, O Lord. The foundations of our nation have been shaken, so shake the foundations, O Lord. They needed an Advent to shake them up. We remember, they claimed, we remember how you used to deal with us, and we want that again. We long for that again. We want to remember as you remember. Those words seem like they're the ones who are reminding God, but really, they were reminding themselves. They were reminding themselves of who God was. The look back wasn't to give them some kind of warm, fuzzy feeling about what once was, but as a way to sort of spur them on into living differently. Advent is a reminder that comes to get us out of our sense of complacency. Now, of course, it can be difficult to be complacent when things are hard. And so we also use Advent as a prayer, a reminder of hope of what is happening now and what is to come. We hear a prayer like that in today's lesson from Psalm 80. Like this passage from Isaiah, this psalm, Psalm 80, was written in a time when the people were exiled from their homeland. And in this psalm, we hear this conviction and this hope that God will restore the people. Shepherd of Israel, hear us. You who are enthroned on the cherubim, shine out. Awaken your power and come to save us, O God. Let your face smile upon us. Let your face smile upon us, and we will be saved. This cry to save us is at the center of that messianic hope, the hope for a Messiah that the people were clinging to in that time leading up to Jesus' birth. And we hear that call in our gospel lesson today, too. Now, you might say, wait a minute, Robin, really? How is that apocalyptic reading that you read to us a call to hope? And I admit that sometimes we have to listen really hard to hear something hopeful in these descriptions. But it's there. It's there. It's underneath, but it's there. But in those days, after that suffering, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, and the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. Be aware, keep alert, for you do not know when the time will come. Keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come. Or else he will find you asleep when he comes suddenly. So keep awake. Now, passages like this can sometimes make us nervous. Nervous because there's so much to do and there's this deadline to meet. Like mom coming home and seeing that your room is not clean. And yet, at the same time, this passage is a promise that the master is near. That master is near, not as a threat, but as a promise. The master is near, not as a threat, but as a promise. A promise that we are not alone. We are not alone. We have that promise of presence. And that presence gives us hope in the midst of all of the unrest and all of the violence, all of the war that we see around us, that we may even be experiencing in our own personal lives. But we are not alone. And knowing that we are not alone, knowing that that presence, that capital P presence, is with us, then allows us to be present with hope to others. The good news of Jesus Christ is that God is with us, no matter what, no matter where, no matter when. There is no place that you can go where God is not. There's no place that you can go where God is not. There's no time of day when God is off the clock. May that fact bring you hope this Advent season. Amen.